We are so excited to have you here at Silicon Slopes for our Friday conversations. We have Catherine Bennett with us. We're excited. I'll introduce her in just a second. We are so grateful for our sponsors who help us be here each week, and today being well fed with Minky Couture and Build Then Bless. So big thank you to them. We want to invite you to support them. Today we're going to have Tiffany Vale, our COO here at Silicon Slopes. She's going to be our hostess for this interview, and as we get started, I just want to introduce to you really quickly our speaker and a little bit about her. So Catherine Bennett is a marketer at her core. That's what she would want us to know. Through the course of her experience, she is an entrepreneur. She started a marketing agency herself, and marketing is really a big part of what she does. So we're happy to have you, Catherine. Welcome. And Tiffany, we're ready to go. Thank you so much.
Okay, so how great is Russ? He's incredible. And this is what happens when you start coming to a lot of these conversations. You become friends with us, and then we're like, you know what you should do? You should do the intros. You should help us out and run the mics. So if you're looking for somewhere to get involved.
I should really adopt that, actually.
It's so great. Well, and then you get these incredible people in your life. Like, what would we do without Russ? We love him. So anyways, thank you so much. That's so great of you. We're so excited to have you. So
Thanks.
Not often do you get to kind of fangirl over your own friends. So I'm super excited. I've been looking forward to it. Catherine and I are new friends. We both kind of started, did we start the same day? Around there. At our new roles. And so we were able to kind of catch up and talk about like what's going on at Slopes, what's going on there. And I found someone who was just kind and articulate and collaborative and very direct in vision, very direct in what she thought, and you don't ever have to guess, and I absolutely adore those things about you, so
Thank you.
You are fantastic. And I'm excited to hear your journey. So I think what we'll do is we'll kind of start in and chat about your journey and then what you guys are doing, and then we'll open it up because I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions that are better than mine, and I want to hear what you guys have to say. So let's kick it off where you think is like the biggest kind of inflection point, maybe college, what you were doing there? What do you think?
Yeah, that's a good, there's been lots of inflection points, but just to make sure everyone here knows, I'm currently the executive editor of Utah Business. So marketing plays into it, but there's a lot of like strategy and writing and storytelling and all these amazing things that kind of converge in my current role. But that all really started when I was this isn't necessarily a pivotal moment, but I guess kind of when you're younger and you're like, what am I good at? What do I leverage? What am I interested in to know how to move forward in my life? And so I really didn't know. I kind of thought, well, I like people and I like to write. So I'm going to be poor forever. I'm going to be in English. And, it was really before content. Like, I was graduating from college as content marketing was really taking off and you could monetize it. So that's why I have a journalism degree. I thought, well, I can write and I love to connect with people and tell their stories. So that makes sense. So in college, my senior year, my goal, because I'm very much like, okay, if I'm doing this, I'm all in. I'm never just like a little bit in. If I choose it, I'm doing it 100%.
I have noticed that about you. It's a great superpower of yours.
And so even though I had a skill that I thought was going to be undervalued forever, I just decided, okay, I'm in college, so I'm going to be the editor-in-chief my senior year. I just want to do that. It was actually the Utah Statesman at Utah State was published 3 times a week. So we were grinding it out at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., in between homework and studying for tests. We were putting a full 4-section newspaper together every 2 days.
That's really incredible.
It's honestly wild. And it was my
cool.
first leadership experience because true leadership where there was more than just a couple people under me. It was there were 40 to 50 college kids that you're herding little baby kittens.
Yeah, I was like
they're
herding cats for sure.
Yeah, it was a lot to figure out, but I loved it. I thrived, and I was like, I can work hard too. Like, I actually really loved the 1 a.m.s, the 2 a.m.s, and I'm like, I felt so accomplished when I went to bed at night, and I was like, oh, you did it. Like, and multiple times a week, I was just riding this high. So, and then I graduated, and I realized I'm not a journalist. Like, I actually don't want to tell. I'm not here to call you out on the bad thing that you did. And what do I do now? Because I didn't actually love the culture of that world. I mean, I'm sure that's a shocker as you see the media now. And
yeah,
but it's a rough place to be. And so anyway, I actually luckily found a marketing communications job where I was working with global markets at a company called Nature Sunshiner. They had a sister company called Synergy Worldwide. And so it was in the MLM world, which was interesting, an interesting introduction into marketing. But I got to use all these skills. I got to work internationally. And that was fantastic. And then I started a family. And it was, maybe 2015. And so pre-COVID, obviously way pre-COVID. And the policies of working, and I probably shouldn't have name dropped, but I just think every company at that time really wasn't thinking as much as they should about mothers.
It's a different environment for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it was your butt's in a chair from 9 to 5, and not in a hurtful, negative way. It's just like we just weren't even thinking structurally about how this could be better, and it's so recent. Like that's
we
10
forget
years
how
ago.
recent it actually is. Yeah.
I mean, and we're still going through it. It's not like it's solved, but I really loved that job, and it was a bummer to have to let it go, but it's kind of like you just know in those lives when it's time to pivot.
Yeah.
And you feel like, oh, I'm ready to let go of that thing and embrace this new thing. So I got 2 clients, I guess, outside, so I was able to be a little more flexible. I was also in graduate school. So grad school, new baby, starting a business, kind of. I didn't really realize I was starting a business. I just went, oh, flexible work. and
That's
a little
how it
bit,
gets you.
yeah, a little more
yeah.
control. But then, right, it just grew as you just perform and you do the things people ask you to do, and it goes well. It kind of spread organically, and I was able to make my own 6-figure salary, which is what I didn't even dream. I was like, oh, if I could just even make $60,000 a year, like part-time, that would be wow. And then I was, created this salary for myself that actually was 20% down on our first house and paid for our cars and made it so that we both went through grad school with no debt. And my husband did it twice. And I was just like, and I just went, man,
That's incredible.
yeah. And so some people talk about, a lot of people who have sat in this chair, well, they're like, well, I had this huge exit, they're millionaires. It's so impressive, like what they've built. But my goal was always I think when people say what are you most proud of? I was like, that I could put 20% down on our first house.
To be clear, that's really impressive.
Yeah.
So
it was a good chunk of money. I mean, it was $150,000. And I was like, that's out of my business that I did while I was doing all these things, And so for me, it felt big and meaningful. And I'm sure you guys all have things like that in your life. But, and then again, I had another pivot I was probably 6 years into this business. It was doing well. It was doing exactly what I wanted it to do. And that it was still flexibility, right? It was not flexible. It was like, now I have 30 bosses and they all need things at different times. And so learning operations that's not where I naturally thrive. So I've had the entrepreneur experience where you're in the pressure cooker, and so it's nice now that I can talk to any founder, any entrepreneur, and go, oh yeah, I felt that.
I think any parent though is operations.
100%.
Parents are operations.
Some people who do it much better. I'm sure you are fantastic at operations.
I ran my family on a spreadsheet. I'm not even gonna lie about it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So there was a pivot point where I had a potential client want to hire me to be on their executive team. And it was interesting to me. I mean, I felt that shift in my heart, ooh, there's something here for you. And so I ended up taking this job, this executive marketing role, and which was a little uncomfy, and I actually felt like some people were pretty disappointed.
Did it feel bittersweet to let go of what you'd built?
Yeah, I mean, it still exists. Like Backpack Marketing, this agency exists. We have 2 clients, and it just kind of runs. I call it my nanny fund. It gives me a little every month, and so it's always there, and that's so comforting.
Nice. Yeah.
It's so comforting to be like, no matter what happens, I can always do that, and I know I'll have work.
Yeah.
Like I'll be able to have work. But what was interesting to me about this role was it was very male, all male executive team, very male industry. Manufacturing, in Utah, but it opened up all these industry outlooks to me. So I obviously got to know the manufacturing world in Utah really well, but manufacturing isn't everything. I mean, not everything, but in a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's in aerospace and defense. It's in mining. It's in consumer goods. It's in health sciences, which is like a huge industry here. And so I felt like really our economy cracked open for me, and I went, oh, I can see I'm like getting this vantage point. That's so cool. That's cool. And then obviously that fizzled. And this role that I have now just happened.
Yeah.
Truly. So
sometimes I think it's just about saying yes to different opportunities. There's a lot of new things that come our way, and it's just about saying yes. I'm curious, like, what is the moment that you felt like was your biggest hurdle? I think sometimes, like, what I love is I love to hear how people got where they got, but I also like to hear about, like, what did you have to push forward through? Like, how did you fall forward in what you're doing? Because obviously it wasn't easy. You didn't wake up one day and say, I'm going to do backpack marketing and it's going to be really successful and it's going to go well. Like, what were those moments where, like, you pushed through and you're like, okay, I got this?
Yeah, I think I've just had to be so raw and honest with myself, and have had lots of sounding boards, but a lot of the hurdles have just been myself the whole time. I think a lot of people are surprised when I say this, but I was like a deeply insecure child, like deeply insecure, but no one knew it. On the outside, I kind of front as like, because I like people still. I still want to connect and communicate, but had a lot of like personal things that I've worked through my whole life. But my business chipped away at a lot of that. It forced me to. It forced me to chip away at a lot of the insecurities that I had to, like, being, selling. That was something that felt really hard to me because I was like, nobody wants this. I don't want to ask for things from other people or pitch myself. I couldn't pitch myself that confidently. But I was like, well, this is going to work. I better figure this out, and learning how to rally people and get people on board with what I was doing. Because, you have to have a team to make it work. And so obviously that part wasn't as hard, but it was, I honestly, I'm trying not to even say imposter syndrome because I hate the term. I hate how much we talk about it. But that's 100% what's going on is you just go, why me? I don't like.
I think we'll talk about it though because it's so real.
It's so real.
It's so real. I remember the first time I had like this really big deal that happened, and I was like super excited. And someone who was over me came over and he's like, "Yeah, Tiff, remember how you told me you couldn't sell anything?" And I was like, yeah. He's like, you just sold something. I'm like, no, I didn't. I just talked him into doing something because it's the right thing to do. And he was like, yeah, that's what it is. And so I think that, imposter syndrome is thrown around a lot, but I think it's because it's something we typically don't talk about, or it became hot for a second and then everyone kind of was like a little shy about talking about it again.
Yeah, I'll share this because I like love this, appreciate the intimacy of this conversation, that I feel like I got the role that I have now, and almost like people, you're like important now, or like there's a certain level of I can get, I can access something from you in a really positive way, like, but it's still you, right? And it's still the person you've always been, which is a great person. Like I can say like, no, I love who I am. I'm very sick, but it is strange. Like it's a straight, and you're like, oh, like it's still just me though. I'm grateful I can bless more, like help more people and platform more people, and that, this role allows me to meet just the most incredible human beings, like same with you. I mean, as you do as well. And I just go, how did this happen? Are we sure this is me? I mean, but also it's just me. So guys, don't act like I'm important. Like there's all these crazy things that go on in my head. And I'm sure in all of our heads, like as we're navigating through things. But I think overall, I sound like I'm a really like maybe psychotic person, but
No, you don't.
I think we all have that dialogue in our head. We just don't let it come out, like outward. We don't show it outwardly, but then when we do, it's like, oh, we're all the same.
Okay.
You know?
I've always been afraid of like mics and lights. It's never been my thing. So when it came to slopes, Clint was like, oh, this is what we're going to do. And I was like, oh, shoot. Like, I don't think I'm ready for it. So even now, like your conversation today, yesterday, I'm like, so who's hosting that? And they're like, you. And I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot. So I think there's always those things that we just don't think about, right? That we're like, oh, it's so uncomfortable that we're going to do all the work and kind of put that in the background. And that's going to be the last hurdle we have to get through. So,
but I think that's why vulnerability is such a power. I think when you are willing to be that to other people, you let other people feel that, oh yeah, I can get there. Like I can make it there. You know, I'm not different in that way. Like we both have the same things that we're kind of dealing with in our minds. And if I can communicate with you, like, and even bounce things off of you, and you can tell me, no, you're wrong. You're actually, you're thinking too much about this. And I can be like, okay, just get outside of myself. And I think that the more we just see each other, like we're all on equal playing field here. It's just who can get out of their head more effectively than others, often. So.
Yeah, so Clint has a saying that he says all the time when we go into meetings that I love. And he's like, okay, everyone, we're going to get together. So check your logos and egos at the door. Like, let's figure out this problem together. And I think we're all a human tribe. We're all trying to figure it out, right? So the quicker we can get to the vulnerability part and the openness, we get to solve a lot of problems.
And I guess what's cool is because I'm able to, in my role, speak to co-founders, you know, regularly, founders, co-founders, entrepreneurs, business owners of all kinds. These are, again, I'm like, I guess I feel comfortable talking about this because I know that it is the same on that level as well. Mm-hmm. Like once you're entered into that world and you get to actually ask these maybe more personal, intimate questions to try to tell this story so it's meaningful to someone else, then you're like, oh, again, we're all just the same.
We're all the same.
The person that just sold their company for $500 million or whatever, the person who just got the $300 million fundraise, they've gone through all these same things, but they decided to press forward anyway. That's what, like, I think that continues to drive me. Like, I keep just like, show up. You don't have to be the most polished version of yourself. Always, and actually that's why people like you and people are okay, like want to be around you and want to work with you and want to partner with you, is because you can be open, you can be transparent, but at the same time there's a balance. Like it's not like I'm not saying you show up sloppy and lazy and you're like, I'm like, there's a balance. Like you can be, I feel like at the same time you can be both things. There's duality in not, you know, showing up the best that you can, but also like there's a professional version of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which is one of the things I think makes Utah unique. With all the people that you speak with and you get to talk to, I'm curious, what's a kind of a common thread that you think differentiates Utah and is like, hey, the business leaders here are a little bit different in a great way. Do you see a common thread?
I think the access to them is wild. The fact that we have access to them through just sitting in this room or sitting at, you know, one of the many events that we have, it is so special, and that they want to give that. Of course, it's like it benefits the company. There's the PR play of it, but I think more than anything in Utah, there is that collaboration. I mean, that's what I hear over and over and over again in all of the round tables that we kind of have with different industries, different experts and things. Is we get together here. Yeah. We get around a table and we noodle on something here, and we do it we do it a lot, and we need to keep doing it in order to achieve the things we want to achieve. But and I've heard this also from there's a couple CEOs I've met over the last month that have that are transplants. They've moved here for the company, and that is what they notice is like, man, you guys collaborate. You get together. Yeah. You figure stuff out together, and you want other people to be successful. Like you're open because you want that.
There's enough sunshine for everyone mentality. I love that. So what are things going on in business right now that you're the most excited about? What are some of your passion projects you guys have going on?
At Utah Business?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So I guess my interest, like I'm a marketer at my core. What I'm excited about is bringing 13 years of marketing experience into this role. So I've been in this role for 6 months. And so Utah Business has been around for 40 years. It's been a magazine for 40 years. I'm like, does anyone in here read magazines consistently? When's the last time you... I'm like, I know I have at least one in the back. But I know that I didn't purchase a like maybe at the airport when I was bored, I purchased like some girly magazine, you know, but my generation, I feel like maybe in the millennials, like we're not doing that. And however, I think it's an incredibly important part of a premium publication brand, especially if you're doing events and awards and recognition and things. But I'm excited to take Utah Business into the future because there isn't a platform that's doing what we're doing. And I think we can do it in a bigger way to reach more eyes so that more people see these stories, more people are influenced. At the end of the day, I see what we're doing as a play for good. When I say that, they're like, oh, like, you just want to cover nonprofits? I'm like, no, I mean, I'm a true capitalist. I'm like, I just think the act of business normally is with, you know, good intention, with good people is good because we're creating jobs, we're creating this thing, you know, we're keeping this economy, this thing we've created afloat. And so if we can share those things and get more people's eyes on those, I think it fuels us to do more good. And break down the barriers I was talking about before, and to feel like you have access to those stories and the information and say, yeah, I'm going to go after it, and to be part of a community too. Like Silicon Slopes has an amazing community. There's a community element to what we're doing, and the more you have access, and I think too, access to people who can help you platform and share the good that you're doing, the better it is for all of us. So we're looking at video storytelling, obviously, moving some resources around so that that's a main focus. There's a lot of things that we can, like extra, like smaller services that we can do on our website that I think will be good for the community. But we're definitely like digital focused. I feel like 10 years ago, we were like the journalism world was talking about this, and Utah Business is still kind of catching up. But it's because it's been an event company, really, first and foremost, as far as the business model. It makes money from the award events that we do. And sometimes to not, like, there was definitely a reputation, I think, for Utah Business that it was pay to play for a little while. And that has changed, like, drastically. The business model has changed in the last couple of years. So we really do just want to tell your stories and celebrate you. And of course, we are for profit, so we have to figure out in this crazy publication media world, how do we make money? Because this is, I think, a crucial part of our business world. And I am always amazed, not amazed, I guess it makes perfect sense, but honored when, you know, I show up to an office and, you know, we're saying, hey, I was somewhere yesterday saying, hey, you're one of our leaders of the year. And going and having, and they're like, I am so honored, you know, because it's the only place that we can really platform everyone, and not the only place, but in this way, in this storytelling only way, that we can platform people and be industry agnostic. It's like, I don't, if you're in mining, if you're in St. George, like I have a meeting next week with Cache Valley, just to make sure it's like, how do we have a place that we can all gather together and swap stories, kind of a thing. So
Yeah, I love that. I love hearing all of your stories, so this is fantastic. But I'm sure you guys have some great questions for her, so I'm going to let Russ pass the mic around so you guys can get in some of the questions that you have. You can even take my mic, Russ.
Thank you. So, Catherine, first of all, thanks for being here and sharing your story. On behalf of Silicon Slopes, I would love to thank you for that. So where should I start? The question is around PR or publicity. So let me take a step back and describe our situation in general. Is that most of the folks, I'll say most, that could be contested, but a lot of us over on this side are essentially coders who love to hide ourselves in basements and write code. So one fine morning, one of those software packages or modules, does something good, And then lo and behold, we have an ambition saying we want to start a software company. So the next step on that is we build a website, and we say, hey, if you build it, there will come kind of a logic, right? But after a few years of struggling with that, I've personally come to a realization that that does not work. So
It does not.
so there is an X factor out there, and people have succeeded, exponentially here in Silicon Slopes too. So the question is around PR. If you ask us, ask me to elaborate the meaning of what PR is. So for most of us, it's a public repo. But what I want to learn from you is that if you had one piece of advice for us, saying this is what you should do and you can start achieving that X factor, I would love to hear that from you.
Yeah, that's a great question and a loaded question because it's such a. This goes back to marketing, Catherine, who, the goal is you have a website and you want people to, not even the website, you want people to see what you're doing. And that's one communication method that you can use. It's actually, I feel like, a landing place where even if you meet someone out in the wild, you're at an event, and they're going to go vet you out. I feel like it's a place where you vet. And anyway, so there's not one right answer for each company. I would give completely different advice depending on the industry and who you're trying to connect with, like who your target is. That's why, if you talk to any marketer, any brand person, they're always going to ask you that question first. We're like, who are your people? And then from there you can start making decisions. But PR, helps. I feel like it's more of a blanket. Like it works for everyone if you can get in. If you can get that earned media, because you also, it's hard to get. You have to do a lot of the legwork yourself early on. So if we're looking at a story that we're interested in, and we see that we get pitched all the time, because obviously everyone thinks that their thing is really important, as they should. And I respect that and I see that too. Then we go, but will everyone else see that yet? Is it big enough yet? Is it innovative enough? Is it disruptive enough? Is it celebrity enough? Do enough people care about the person leading it? So there's all these factors that go into us deciding what is worthy of running. But once you can so I would say you have to build it, and you have to understand marketing first, and be able to figure out, showing up to whether that marketing mix is events. If ads make sense, which probably for you does not, your own content strategy as a person on LinkedIn, wherever, it's this whole mix of things. Do you have an email, do you have email marketing? What's actually working and driving engagement just on a personal level? And then once it gets to a place where I'm like, oh, we see you, we see what you're doing, then we can have confidence that more people are going to see it, right? Because now you understand that my job is eyes. I'm measured by influence, whether or not I'm doing a good job. And so if I pull out some random, a press release that I get, it's like, oh, well, that would just be like a nice thing to do, to publish that or to do a story about it because we have a relationship, then I'm not doing my job because I already know that, maybe we'll get 5 views on that and it'll be forgotten. So I would say hustle. But also I will say that it's not that small companies don't get seen by us. We actually just yesterday I pitched a story about a company that is on Kickstarter right now. They're a Utah company, like so early, but they are literally taking technology backwards on purpose so I was like, that is interesting. I don't see that. People are going to have questions. And so that's what I'm looking for. So I would say figure out your marketing mix so that we can see you and be like, oh, they're ready. Or find the angle that's really innovative. And you're like, we're changing the game on this. This is the last thing I'll say is we are running a story in this print issue that's like being printed right now about the nuclear energy ecosystem that we're building here in Utah. It hasn't happened yet, but obviously the impact is huge. So there were always kind of, I answered that in a lot of different ways, but it was a loaded question. So
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah.
We love your award programs and attending those. And I've attended a lot of them, and so I was just wondering, you've been doing a lot of them for a long time. Are you adding any new categories? Are you kind of revamping things? Because I actually really love what you guys do.
Thank you. It's a timely question, and I wish I could answer it with specifics. And I guess this is also part. I want to add to that. Those events, I think people don't realize, like they see them for what they are. Like, oh, it's an event, and the event itself is a nicety. But when you begin to really understand PR and what those can do for your business, to get one of those and then leverage it for social, and now AI looks for awards that companies get and people that are like in order to rank you. So there's this bigger play there that I don't think people see, and if they did, they would prioritize the Silicon Slopes Awards. There's a lot of award, like there are a handful of award opportunities, but and then the article, right, that comes with it about the person and the circulation about that person. So I love them too. I wish that everyone saw the value in each, because we have 13, I think, awards that we give, and most people don't know that we have that many. One, for instance, and I might be too early to say, because we are kind of deciding, like on a business strategy level, we know the ones that are crushing it, that always crush it, that everyone wants to be part of. Those are best companies to work for is high on that list, because obviously, I mean, it's a huge thing to be able to say that, to attract talent, all those reasons. Fast 50 are women's awards. And 40 under 40 is an interesting one. People want to get the award, but it's kind of a tough match, honestly, from a sponsor side, because it's not niche. Like as a marketer, I get that. I'm like, I'm looking for niche audience, so that I'm in front of the right people. But at the same time, the community wants it. So we're leveraging all these things. There are some opportunities. I wish I could tell you everything. I'm like, I don't want to say anything too soon. We have some really cool opportunities to partner with people in the coming year. But on that same note, that probably requires us to cut some things that the community has. But I'm not. Someone might wave a magic wand and give us some more employees, and I don't know, I would be open to that. But you have to be real about it, right? You have to look at the numbers, and we're a business at the end of the day. But overall, we're going to try to keep as much of it as we can. But if the community is telling us we don't need this event as much, or we're not, if it's not flowing to you, then it's like, maybe we don't need to do this.
Yeah, if there's lack of engagement.
Yeah, and we can put the energy elsewhere.
Catherine, happy to be here. Thanks for your thoughts. Those were awesome. I was fascinated to hear that you're pivoting into more of the video marketing stuff, obviously, with my background. But in what other ways have you, could you elaborate just a little bit more on that pivot from like a traditional publication to what's your vision for a publication in 2026? You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's so many competing thoughts about this, because I realize part of our challenge is we have such a wide, there's such a span of our audience. The Utah business audience is from like the moment you graduate until the moment you, like after retirement. Like it's so hard to pin down. So it's like, who do we prioritize, getting those views from? But we kind of have to do all of it, because we have this loyal. I go places and I'm honestly surprised, just because of my the generation I'm in. But talk to men in their 60s, 50s who read that magazine every month. They get it. They enjoy it. It's part of their a ritual. It's something they've done for a decade and plus. So with the award events, I see that as still it makes the brand premium in ways. And so I think it's still an important element, whether we do it every single month. Maybe we will. Maybe we will take some of those resources and say, these stories are still amazing. They're still something people want to know and want to interact with. So let's take them onto Reels. Let's take them on to like TikTok. So obviously short form video has been like the name of the game for years. And so we're catching up to that. And, like just nuggets from people. We've tried, like dabbled as where we can with the resources that we have in, we're going to go take this cover shot of Crystal Magalet, the CEO of Maverick and like FJ Management. I'm literally going to meet her at a Maverick downtown. So I'm going to take a video of her while I'm there. Why would I not? And so it's just this shifting this mentality of everyone in our office that they are all like they're all journalists and reporters in themselves. So if you're out, you're interviewing in person someone, or maybe try to prioritize interviewing someone in person rather than on the phone, so that you can grab that clip, that extra clip that's going to help promote. So it's like every time we tell a story, it needs its own promotion, so that we can drive eyes to, the website. So
I'm curious how, with everybody using AI, how is that affecting Utah Business Magazine? Do you guys use it? Does it affect what you look for in companies for the awards?
No, I mean, it doesn't affect the way that we see other companies. I mean, it's just part of every conversation we ever have. It's just ever present and will continue to be. We use it constantly. I think maybe that's surprising or not surprising as a magazine that we'd be just such purists. We don't write our articles with AI. We actually, when a writer submits an article to us, we actually like check it for AI. And so I'm okay if someone's like, oh, I'm struggling with this conclusion. It's not all coming together for me. But the interesting thing about telling these stories is you have actual quotes, that people have said verbatim, and you can't make that up. Like AI can't replace what people actually say. And so we can use it as a tool, but if you're going to communicate actual words that someone else said, there's no way to replace that. And so I hope that continues to be something that's valuable to people. I think it is, because we care about like actual person-to-person connection, and hopefully continue to. Does that answer that question? We celebrate it. I mean, more and more, every company that we talk to now, it's like, how are we using AI? How are we using AI? And at the same time, like, there are obviously hard conversations about it too. Like, how does it affect workforce? How are we developing high schoolers and middle schoolers and even earlier now to be prepared to go into the workforce with that knowledge? And so, I mean, you'll hear it over and over again. Like, they just have to be masters of it so that they can, anywhere they land, they'll be able to use it. And we use it constantly, but we use it in ways that you might not expect, I guess. At Utah Business, there's obviously so much extra, so many additional tasks and things that we do, but like it's a great prompt for if we need to, like, we're like, what are some good questions for this? And because we're a lean team and we have so much, right? We have 270 articles that we're publishing and a bunch of social media accounts and 40 plus events that we run. It's the only way is leveraging AI. So,
Catherine, thank you for your vulnerability. Appreciate that. Helps us to connect better, I think. Dwight Ride, I've stepped out of a large corporate, starting a management consulting firm. It's called Silicon Slopes Scale, so I hope I'm not in trouble for leveraging the name.
Yeah, we actually have a trademark, so you can't use Silicon Slopes, but okay. It'll have to be something else. But keep going.
Yeah, we'll figure it
glad
out.
we had this chat though.
Yeah, I'm like, it is trademarked.
Yeah, we'll talk. Okay. But my question was, from where you sit, what do you see from a growth standpoint across the ecosystem?
I love that question. There's so many rich conversations happening, and there's so many things that are happening in Utah are intertwined from like a structural standpoint. Like energy is a hot topic right now. Housing is a hot topic. Attracting talent outside of the state, leveraging talent that's already in the state. Resources. I was on the phone. I told Tiffany this morning. I was on the phone with some researchers at Utah State who, they're thinking about like the Colorado River, and we actually get a lot of our water from there. And there's like policy issues around it right now. Our air, and all of that affects people wanting to come here, whether or not they might make decisions on that. So also just making this a place that people want to be, like being more, like having our arms more open to people maybe that have slightly different lifestyles, or like there's lots of conversations around that, like things that need to change, but the growth potential and the energy around that growth it's hot. Like everyone is in on what are the solutions, what do we need to do to keep us going in this direction with this momentum. But obviously a lot of structural things need to be attended to make sure we can do that. And then it's been really cool to see the onshoring that's happening behind the scenes. As you know, and I guess who knows, the next administration, people are like, never mind, we're all going back offshore. But I met a company last week that they have multiple multi-billion-dollar contracts that are pending, brand new company, really innovative product, and they're onshoring and building a facility, a huge facility right here, and we've seen just more and more of that. Like people are willing to come and invest in Utah because they like our workforce. People like generally the lifestyle here. Yeah, sure, we can improve, but generally speaking, it's an attractive place to work. So I think we're thinking about all of those things, but every conversation I'm in is that it's like, we're growing, we're going to grow. We have the Olympics coming up. We have all these things on the horizon. What do we need to do right now to make sure that we're prepared for that growth? But everyone is 100% growth minded that I speak to.
Thank you.
We'll take last question.
Thank you so much, Catherine. Yeah, learned a lot from you. So my question, so you mentioned about a world event, the best employee is that a work in Utah or probably the Utah, right? Is the best employee to work in Utah?
Oh, the best place to work. So we have only two of our awards you have to pay for to enter in. It's because there's a vetting process on the opposite side. So companies will, I think it's like a $200 fee you pay, and then we send a survey out to your entire organization. So if you're Mountain America Credit Union, you have to get a certain percentage of your employees to answer this to even be considered for it. And then we look at the scores from individual employee to over like the policies, and then we have a scoring system. It's a labor of love to even just get the results of this award. But it feels very true. Like when people get this award, they're like, my employees said this. Like this is data from them. In addition to looking at benefits and other things, but yeah, it's one of our most sought after awards because of that. I think the vetting, and Fast 50, because we have accountants vetting your financials on the back end to make sure. Obviously, we're not going to just say you're the fastest growing company when you're not, so, or one of them. So
we might tell a little bit impact of this reward. The impact of this reward upon the Utah business, probably a little bit more.
The impact for the people who win the awards, or is that what you're asking? So I think it all comes down to how well they leverage it, and that's I will preach this forever. Is PR is good. I mean, it's fantastic. If you can get an award or get in the media in any way, it's a win. But the ones who know how to leverage it to the nines are the ones that like really succeed with PR. So if my company won best companies to work for, right, I'd be writing a blog about it. I'd be sending a press release out about that. It would be somewhere posted, right, like in the building. As it would be on LinkedIn, it would be on job applications. It would be something that I would tout, especially if it's some of these awards. It's hard to be like, well, that's super credible. But I think this one specifically, you can say this is very credible. So, does that answer your question? Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you guys all for coming out. Thank you, Catherine. You're incredible.
Thank you.
Loved having you. So, thank you so much.
Thanks for your great questions.